поражена. Отличный выстрел. Команда противника захватила точку. Отличная работа. Захватить точку B. Мы уничтожили корабль противника.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at the fourth Gnevny in the game, the Gremyashchiy. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It means something like thunder or thunderous. So yeah, this is a Gnevny-class destroyer, and she is currently in the Blitz pass. It's of course a tier 6, it's a premium, it's Soviet. But yeah, this is the fourth Gnevny. So just for reference, we have the actual Gnevny. We used to have the Anshan on the Pan-Asian, the premium. We have the Mighty Fushun, and we now have the Gremyashchiy. So what can this thing do? Well, it's a stiff competition. I mean, you're up against the Fushun, and the Gnevny herself wasn't bad. The Soviet destroyers are gunboats, at least the Soviet mainline destroyers. The things like the Leningrad tend to have a little bit longer range torpedoes, but I have tried, and you can kind of stealth top in the Leningrad, but it's not great fun. The Fushun, on the other hand, is extremely powerful in that she has smokes, she has long-range deep water torpedoes, and still retains the great guns. So what's the Gremyashchiy like? How does that fit in this pattern? In terms of, actually, let's compare. So let's start out with the original Gnevnys and just go through and compare. So we've got 13,300 hit points, and I've set them all up the same way. On the Gnevny, we have slightly more on the Gremyashchiy. We have the exact same amount on the Fushun, on the Anshan, and we have the highest hit points by a little bit on the Fushun, but it's not a huge difference. In terms of speed, they are, well, at least the three existing ones are pretty much almost on par. The Gremyashchiy is a lot slower, but she's still not slow, but she's not as fast as the other ones. She does, however, have the best maneuverability. So we're getting 9.2 degrees per second and 2.7 turn time out of the box, which is, especially on the rudder shift, significantly better than what the other one's having. Now it gets kind of interesting. The guns. Now, these ships had 130mm guns, and these are mostly the model 1936 guns that were slightly rushed in production because the Soviets at the time had the Leningrads ready and they needed to equip them. They didn't have the guns ready. These were based on, or these were meant to replace the much older 1913, I think, 130mm guns, which you could find secondaries on early battleships from the period. But yeah, these are on the Gnevny extremely good guns. They are very they hit hard. They have a good range, and the Gnevny has the rapid reload, so you do get a lot of ordnance on target with the Gnevny. The Anshan has a slightly weaker iteration of these guns, and it's exactly the same one on the Fushun. They have slightly less range and they do slightly less damage than the Gnevny guns. But other than that, and the turret traverse is not quite as quick. Other than that, they are somewhat similar. Now the Gremyashchiy, she gets the B2U turret with these 130mm guns. And if you look very closely, the Gnevny and all the other ones are firing 50 caliber length guns, whereas the Gremyashchiy fires 55. Now, it took me a little bit to figure this out. I first thought these were, because the 55 caliber length were the original First World War, and I'm realizing we're talking about guns again, but were the original First World War edition 130s. And I thought, oh, did they put the old guns on these? But no, this is actually an evolution that was meant to happen after these after the initial turret from the 1930s. So they rushed these guns a little bit, and they had huge problems with them in the beginning because they would wear out quickly, extremely quickly, like around about 100 odd shots, and you had to change the barrels, which is a little bit annoying for something the size of a 130mm gun. But they fixed that over time, and this became a very, very popular gun. But all these guns, so the one on the turrets, the one on the Gnevny, the Anshan, and the Fushun, these were not dual-purpose guns, so they couldn't shoot at planes. This is the B2U turret, and from what I found, the U stands for something like universal, so these are dual-purpose guns. They have a better range than even the Gnevny herself and all the others. Yeah, they have a better range, they do more damage, they have a better chance of setting fires, and but they do have a very, very slow turret traverse for a destroyer with, I think, 9 degrees per second is the base. Whereas on the Gnevny you get 15, and even on Anshan and Fushun you still get 12. So definitely the best guns in terms of, damage and these things. Now, the fire chance, and they all have the same elite bonus. The fire chance is 0.5 percentage point higher. During my early testing, and I'm really not sure if this was a bug, or if this is a bug, or if this was just me getting super unlucky, or if this needed a restart or something. But I have played probably the first 6 or 7 games without getting a single fire. So there was something really, really strange going on, and but it has gotten slightly better after I've restarted the game. Maybe it just needed a reboot, I don't know. Maybe something was odd, or maybe I was just really, really having poor RNG. But I did observe in my early testing that I had huge problems setting fires with these guns. The armor piercing is not bad. Definitely, you can actually overpenetrate destroyers with these armor piercing if you're shooting at the bow stern section of enemy destroyers by accident. And you can citadel light cruisers if you're close enough. So point blank range, you definitely can get citadels on light cruisers with these 130s. So don't discount the armor piercing on these. Now the torpedoes. Again, if we start out with the Gnevny, your typical Soviet torpedoes, they're more like, weapons of opportunity, or how do I call this? I mean, they have a 4.5 kilometer range, and you usually don't want to be a 4.5 kilometer range of anything. I mean, this is tier 6, so you can pull off the occasional ambush or just drive by a battleship that isn't paying any attention to its surroundings, but still it's a very dangerous range to be in. Now the Anshan had 6 kilometer, which is slightly better. The Fushun obviously has, the very, very, very good deep water torpedoes with a 7.8 kilometer range. The Gremyashchiy gets 7.2 kilometers, and these are not deep waters, these are normal torpedoes. Although she does pay a price, because if you compare the torpedo speed, they're 10 knots slower than on the Gnevny. Other than that, they do a little bit less damage, and they reload in about the same time. So we trade range for speed, which probably makes sense in some way, but these are extremely slow torpedoes. So don't expect to be able to long-range torp anything with these, because most of the time they are very, very, very slow. Most of the time, at max range, you will note that the target doesn't have much of a difficulty avoiding these. They reload reasonably quickly, however, and they are not bad. They are not bad torpedoes. Here, I was a little bit disappointed, because while the Gnevny doesn't really have any AA, and to be fair, neither do the Anshan or the Fushun, even though they have subsequently better values, these are dual-purpose 130s. Why is my large caliber AA so low? I would have expected the ship to have much better AA because of the turret, because again, this is the B2U turret, which was distinctly designed and with lengthened barrels to be an anti-aircraft turret. So unfortunately, we don't get that. Concealment-wise, she's the worst in the bunch with just under 6 kilometers. And I think, Gnevny and Anshan have the lead here ever so very slightly. Then again, this is a Soviet destroyer. This is not a torpedo boat. You could play her like that. And we'll get to the playstyle in a little bit. But let's look at the ship skill. So just as a refresher, the Gnevny had the engine accelerator and the rapid reload. The Anshan had the engine accelerator and gets 2 smokes. The Fushun has the engine accelerator and 2 smokes. And the Gremyashchiy has the engine accelerator and 2 smokes. So she's kind of positioned, I'd say, somewhere around where the Anshans used to sit before. So she gets non-deep water torps with a better range than the Anshan. She's get better guns, at least in terms of damage, than the Gnevny, but because you don't get the rapid reload, the fire rate is just not there. So it's a bit of a weird position. So I found, after playing her a couple of rounds, that she plays much better if you don't play her like a Soviet destroyer, but like a Pan-Asian destroyer. Because even though she is very, very maneuverable, you don't really necessarily want to get into close-range battles with this ship. I find she plays better at range and just abuse the torpedo range, even though they are very slow, but they reload reasonably quickly. And most of the time, by the time the torpedoes... your torpedoes have either hit something or have run out of steam, you already have them reloaded. So spam torpedoes, use the guns to good effect, and use the occasional smoke to disengage or to do things, well, just camp it and just try to set things on fire. So that's kind of how I ended up playing her and how she was successful. Playing her like a Soviet destroyer didn't work that well. Most of the time, because she doesn't have the fire output, because she doesn't get the rapid reload on the guns. So, equipment. I have set her up, though, the same way how I would set up a Soviet destroyer, not on a stealth build, because of the relatively slow speed. Because you do end up gunboating a fair bit. Definitely the main battery mod 1, because you do need the turret traverse urgently. 9 degrees per second is heavy cruiser level of slow. The propulsion mod is highly recommended, and I actually have speed instead of concealment. Now, you could consider playing her on concealment, but the torpedoes aren't good enough to play her purely as a stealth torp boat. Right? This is it's a mix, really, and I found I'd rather have a little bit more speed than to have the stealth. Although it is a valid option to be able to outspot enemy ships early on. I've actually put a relatively high tier commander in here for a tier 6 ship, because she does get the smoke screens, and you really need the level 8 in order to get the most out of your smokes. So we do have underwater, torpedo alert, preheating makes sense, victorious charge makes sense. We don't get any rapid reloads, which means that she is not a good captain trainer, unfortunately, because you can get survivalist instead of getting the fire supremacy, and you can get fully prepared here. Exploit weakness is a useful skill to have, because she does more damage against things that are set on fire or flooding. Although again, I really don't know, so I don't want to call it out as a bug, but the fire chance was really, really wonky early on in my tests, that I really didn't get any fire set. The Mistweaver is an absolute must on the ship, and then obviously the engine overload in tier 9. So, what else have we got? Battle honors. They're super easy to get. So 5 battles, like standard on premium ships. 5 battles played and destroy 2 enemy ships, and you get the 2 copper out of this, because it's a tier 6, so it'll give copper. The historical camo is good, very, very good, and really matches the ship, right? This she gives main battery firing range, torpedo range, surface detection, and traverse speed. So this is a really, really good buff, and I think this ship was meant to be played more from range, and I kind of agree with that. So for today, we're not going to use the historical camo, obviously. We're just going to use the seaborne assault, and let's get into a couple of rounds, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. In the first battle, we are bottom tier, and we're up against something dreadful, double Belfast. Oh dear, oh dear. And an independence. So yeah, say goodbye to stealth. And yeah, double Belfast is not pretty when you're in a bottom tier destroyer. But let's see what we can pull off with this ship. And again, we do have the torpedo range to you know, maybe do some things from stealth. Now, playing big race, we're gonna head over to A Cup and, well, basically see where the Belfasts are. Oh dear. Let's see what our carrier is up to. I mean, it's mid-tier, so you get really, really mixed battles. I am kind of probably going to stay on the HE for now, just because there's only one enemy destroyer. Our carrier doesn't seem to be launching any planes quite yet. Yeah, I know. I'm on it. Capturing A. Enemy carrier scouts B. Well, let's see what we can find. And some of our teams heading over to C, which is probably not the best decision, but well, it is what it is. Okay, A Cup. No one's capturing anything so far. I don't know where the enemy destroyer is, but I'm now in A Cup at the beginning of the battle with the preheating and with oh, Nürnberg. Okay, do not want with preheating and the engine boost on. She is reasonably quick, and there's a Belfast as well. Oh, great. So, okay, let's see. You can stealth torp, but just about. And obviously I was turning too late, so Nürnberg has seen me, but he may not have been paying attention because he's shooting at someone else. So I'm just gonna drop some torpedoes in his wake. But again, these are very, very slow torps. So for a cruiser, it's not a huge deal to dodge them. But maybe he doesn't see them coming around the island. No, he doesn't see them coming around the island. And here I should have actually had got the armor piercing loaded, so I'm switching over quickly. But there's a Belfast right behind him, so New Orleans, could you please? Because I've given you a start. Oh, and I'm still hitting the Belfast. That was fully not planned. Okay, so dodge some torps from the carrier, but Nürnberg's dead. There come the Nürnberg torps, and now we've just got a Belfast to chase down. At this range, I'll go back to the high explosive because, yeah, these are just bouncing. So the armor piercing works really well if you're close range at something like light cruisers, but at long range, not so much. Now, Belfast is probably going to run because there's a New Orleans. And I mean, it's not running from me, but it's running from the New Orleans. And there's a bunch of battleships around heading kind of towards A Cup, so I might actually end up, yeah, maybe I'll just disengage here and use my sit in my smoke for a bit. Okay, there's a fire on the Belfast. I'll drop some drops on this in the way of this Colorado. Okay, Belfast has radar. I thought I was out of radar range, but I might have underestimated that. That's unfortunate, so I'm just going to reverse out a little bit and hope that I get below the radar. Yeah, when you're predicting the torps on a turn, like you've seen there, right? The Colorado was in a turn, so I've sent them a little bit further ahead, but these torpedoes are so slow that your normal torpedo prediction is going to be off. So you actually have to give much more lead on a ship that comes out of a turn because these are 56 knots torpedoes. So that's something that took a little bit of getting used to. But you see the torpedoes have just hit and they're almost reloaded. So Colorado turning in a little bit. So well, let's drop along the line here and see where we can get at. And engine boost up, but I'm not sure if they can reach him before he gets out of range, unfortunately. Even though that's a Colorado, and Colorado getting out of range of anything is not happening very quickly. But, ah dear, there's another Belfast, oh crap. Ow! Yes, at this range, the Colorado's armor piercing actually does full penetration. No, he runs into 4 torps at least, and gets still a flood. Not sure if that was a perma flood. No, he seems to have damage conded. But now I'm up against the Belfast, which means I'm pretty dead. Now, did this guy radar me or was it the other guy back then? I am not 100% sure because they were both kind of around here. So might as well risk it. What do I have here with me? There's still something with me here. But yeah, I'm going to try to get a couple of cheeky shots in at the Belfast. I mean, he's firing a high explosive at me, so I'm going to smoke up and see if he's got the radar ready. Or if he's used this. No, he's got the radar ready. Okay, bollocks. Well, torps in his wake, and I'm very, very dead here at this point, unless whatever's next to me can blot that Belfast out of the water. I really don't have any way of getting out of here. Even though he's firing high explosive, I'm so low on health. But he does run into a couple of torpedoes still. That's a flood. And again, at this range, armor piercing would have been good, but nope, gets me. And by the looks of it, we're down 4 ships now to 4 ships to 2. We're going to lose the cruiser over in sea. That New Mexico, New Mexico, it would have been really nice if you had just, deleted that Belfast for me. That would have been grand, because I could have been heading over to B Cap. I could have been torping that battleship over there. That would have been really useful, don't you think? So I'll spare you the rest of the battle. Suffice to say that none of my team is surviving very long after this. And let's just skip ahead to the result. Yes, it was obviously a defeat. Well done on the Colorado. And where did we end up in the team on our bottom tier destroyer? Well, we'll to nobody's surprise, we ended up with still being the battle star, even though we actually got killed halfway through the game. So, well, yeah. Mid-tier gaming. This happens. So, because that was kind of short, let's do a second one. And in this game, we are top tier. There is a Krasny Krim that we might need to keep an eye out. Aoba, yeah, Kamikaze. And a tier 5 carrier. And a Normandy who seems to be, well, a good player. So we're playing straight, which means I'm going to head towards B Cup. But I might just, do a short visit to A Cup and see what's going on down there. I'm switching over to the armor piercing because I am expecting enemy destroyers. And again, these guns are damage-wise the most powerful out of all the Gnevnys. These are very, very good guns, even though you don't get the rapid reload. So Gnevny will still outgun her with the rapid reload active. But you still definitely use your armor piercing when you can. Alright, carrier is there. Carrier drops dive bombs himself by the looks of it. We'll just send out some torpedoes. This is not something you usually do in a Soviet destroyer, but I can send some cheeky torpedoes in that direction, just in case somebody comes around that corner of the island, because I do have the range and the reload on them. So another destroyer is in A. I don't want to stick around. There's a Krasny Krim. I'm going to head over to B Cup. But at this range, armor piercing probably not. But if he comes a little bit closer, would not be a bad choice. So let's see if he's paying any attention. He's definitely not shooting at me, and I'm still in stealth. But now he should know that I'm here because I'm right now capping B. So I'm going to smoke up and start opening up at the Krasny Krim. And you see I'm getting full pens on the armor piercing at 4 kilometer range. So definitely worth doing this with these guns, just like you would on a German destroyer. Okay, gonna give him some torpedoes here. Again, leading a little bit because he might be coming out of a turn. He still hasn't noticed me, I think. Still focused in. See if we can get a Citadel. Couple torpedo hits, and he's dead. Okay, no need for Citadel. Yes, I've seen you. I've seen you, Kamikaze. I'll be right with you. Excuse me while I turn the guns around. Now, do you know that ships can go in reverse? Let's find out. There come the torpedoes. Well, good for you. You knew ships could go in reverse. Bad for you. So did I. So, yeah, these torpedoes missed, and my torpedo reload is going to beat your torpedo reload. So now you're screwed. Yeah, have some torpedoes. There you go. And that should be the end of the Kamikaze. Okay, there he goes. And that should be B Cup then on our side. And how does it look? We seem to be holding almost all 3 cups, which is unusual. Enemy team's down to 21 points. That's, yeah. Okay, let's switch over to the high explosive and go chase. What's left? Go chase that battleship over there that's sitting on C Cup, which is kind of the other side from where I spawned. But even without me, the rest of my team has done things there. Okay, Alba is going in reverse, so he's not AFK. What is he doing? Normandy. That was a good player in the Normandy, so let's try and set him on fire and see if we can score something. There, at this point, I'm just going to do the long-range gunboaty thing. Even though you don't have the rapid reload, you can still do a decent amount of things. There's a fire. I'm gonna smoke up just in case the Aoba is... I'm not sure if he's AFK. He was definitely going backwards just now. But I'm gonna drop some torpedoes in the general direction. And yeah, use my smoke screen and just keep firing at the Normandy, who's not damage conning a single fire. Well done, well done. I command you. And let's see if I can get a second one. Well, now the first one's burned out, so let's see if we can get another one. But definitely the torpedoes coming in, and it looks like I'm gonna get... Yep, there's another fire. And I'm getting a flood on the Aoba, which he doesn't seem to be damage conning. Yeah, he might have gone AFK at this point. And another torpedo, I think, on the Normandy, so Yeah, and the torpedoes are almost reloaded. You see, this is the kind of playstyle that that I'm enjoying in this ship. Keep your range most of the time. Just spam torpedoes into everybody's direction, and do your thing. You know, use your guns. It's not a gunboat and it's not a torque boat purely. It's a bit of both. Okay, the Aoba is probably dead. Yeah, he's dead. Mutsuki takes him out. So now it's just a question of sinking the Normandy. And yeah, at this range, I'm trying to get a fire, but at this range I'd probably be better off using the armor piercing against the bow section. And I mean, this is a French battleship. I can probably citadel him from this range. But you know, there's not much left in the game, so it's just a matter of collecting damage. Now I'm dropping the torpedoes behind him here, and he is going in reverse. But he's in a turn, and remember what I said about the extremely slow torpedoes. Of course, he's got the high explosive loaded, because, you know, he sees who's shooting at, and he's not an idiot. So I do have to be a little bit careful. And you see, he dodged these torpedoes, because, well, first of all, the Frenchman goes backwards a lot faster than I thought he was gonna. Sorry for that, I just couldn't resist making that one. And yeah, the torpedoes are extremely quick, extremely slow. So yeah, that didn't work. There's another fire, and the Britannia takes him out, but it's fine. So yeah, the Gremyashchiy. I like this ship. Surprisingly, I didn't like it at first. It took me probably a decent amount of like 5, 6, 7, 8 games until I got to like her. Because I did try to play her like a Gnevny and purely as a gunboat, and she doesn't work like that. Play her like a Pan-Asian destroyer, and you'll have a lot more fun. Use your play her at mid-range most of the time, and because really oftentimes there's no need to get anywhere near enemy ships. Just play her at mid-range, drop your torpedoes left, right, and center, and keep using your guns, because these guns are, despite the very slow turret rotation, actually pretty good. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.